Hi, welcome to another edition of the SNS Cycle Proven Performance Podcast. I'm Howard Kelly, and today we have a very special guest, someone who's been involved with SNS almost since the beginning of time, and it's Rob Schopf. Rob, welcome.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate Howard having me on the show today.
Hey, Rob, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Okay, we're here in a city 18 miles west of Milwaukee called Muskego, Wisconsin. We have two companies here. We have Indian Motorcycle of Metro Milwaukee, where we are OE dealer for Indian Motorcycle, Vespa, and Piaggio scooters, Zero electric motorcycles, and we carry a whole ton of used pre-owned Harley Davidsons. On the other side of the building, we have Two Boss Performance, which is my speed shop, where we work on tons of Harley Davidsons and make them go fast, like I have been for 40 years.
So, I mean, I've known you, Rob, for a really long time, and I just have to get this out of my system. I can't picture you doing demo rides on Vespas. It's a hard thing for me. But
don't knock it till you try it. They're really fun scooters, especially the new 310. The 310, you talk about that, you should see the looks I get on a freeway going 80 next to a car on a Vespa scooter. Mm. They definitely can handle it.
I know you won the SNS 124 shootout, Rob. So, yeah. Rob, why don't you tell everybody how far back with SNS you go and some of the history of you and SNS, because I think it's really important to have people like you talk about that.
The history, man, I started in this business in 1983 at 16 years old, and by the time I was 20, I formed a relationship. My mentor, Mike Lichtner, Hal's Harley Davidson, we got into racing, and I can remember the day where we took a cast iron Sportster and put a 5-inch stroke on it with a 3 7/16 bore, 96 inch or however the math worked out way back then. And we started to, do some things at the drag strip. And then it's when I met George Smith, and George and I just really hit it off well. We did a whole bunch of, as time went on, we spent a lot of time at night at the shops, George and I, developing things. Back then we were running 4-speed transmissions. The 5-speed was just coming out. We were both learning it together, and the creation of the Evolution engine, which replaced the shovel head. That thing was flying, and we were both interested in how to make it go faster, make it be reliable. So we spent a lot of time at the dealership, late nights. He'd be, drawing things up and giving it to his guy on CAD to make parts. And, then we formed a race team with Tom Bradford riding our stuff along with Dave Fazell. And those two guys were instrumental in the early days with the drag racing of SNS. Of course, George was involved in a lot of other things with the Top Fuel bike, with the first bike in the 200s. He worked tirelessly on developing these parts from guys like myself and other racers out there to really, dominate the drag racing scene. And we kind of did for a long, long time. I'll forget, we went out of the Evolution days, and we were looking to go faster. The 5 1/8 bore motor came along, and we actually sat in the office. My team had hired a guy, Slackle Performance Heads, to develop the first 5 1/8 bore billet downdraft fuel injected head, and we had it sitting on a table underneath a blanket, and a guy that I was with, George, was saying, let me see that, what's underneath the blanket. And the guy with said, no, and then George called us some Mavericks, and that then became the name of our next drag bike, with this 5 1/8 bore downdraft fuel injected head, which we got approved to race in the NHRA. And from that, then came SNS's 60-degree 5 1/8 bore downdraft billet motor, which we then went to because we built ours on a 60-degree sandcast motor with, special made aluminum cylinders that we had Nickel plating. And, everybody knows what happens there, that works good for a while, but then that kind of goes away. And then we ended up getting a good sponsor and buying 2 of those engines ourselves, and then having fun in the NHRA, going after the Vance and Hines guys. And, George was instrumental about doing all of that. So I'm covering a lot of time here, but, that's just cool projects that I've been involved with, with SNS. And I couldn't be more happier. It's, you form relationships in this business, and you keep them for your whole career, even your life. And, I'm blessed and honored to be able to still go there and see familiar faces that was working back there years ago. And, that's takes me up till, now with what we like working on now. So the M8's a whole nother animal. That's,
before we get there, I got to say one thing to you, and I don't know if you've given this any thought, but it's 2025 this year, right?
Yeah.
You remember when the Evo came out 40 years ago in 85?
Actually 1984 and a half, but you're right.
I round it up to the full production year.
A 4-speed wide glide kicker, 4-speed. Yep. Yeah.
40 years with the Evo. Now, the other thing I want to mention before we talk about what you're doing now, we just brought the vintage tour back. When you saw that, did it remind you of the tour you were involved in?
Totally. It's, when you get 5.
I don't know if everybody knows, but Rob was one of the 5 builders in the SNS 124 tour, which was very unique thing because it involved having a race at the end, and Rob sort of had a little advantage there.
I don't know what you're talking about. I still remember, Kendall, Kim, Wink, and Jimmy and myself. All bikes were definitely capable of winning. But I did have the advantage because I went on a huge weight loss diet, and I wasn't, we were putting it all out there. So it was fun.
Remember what was cool about that was that project was so successful from the drag race. Remember, AHDRA kicked off a class,
a 124
class. And I don't know if people realize sometimes how impactful getting a group of builders together to do something can really be in this industry. When they see 5 really well-known builders or 6 really well-known builders that are willing to work together to do something, it really makes an impact in this industry.
It really does. And it gets people excited to want to either get involved, build a bike like that, or start to think about, how I can, do something like that. And SNS, promoting, look at the Shovelhead tour, then the VFI, the 124 thing that we are involved with, and now your vintage, these are all builders that definitely deserve to be there and are going to showcase, different thought processes on what things can be done. It's awesome.
So let's talk about Indian.
Yeah.
What do you like about the Indians?
It's 10 years, Howard. It's 10 years. And when it first came out in 15, all I had was either a red Indian or a black Indian. And they were the iconic big front fender. But what I really liked about it is a Polaris product. Okay. And I've had UTVs, ATVs, and snowmobiles, and I've never had a problem with those units. So I figured this is not going to be a mechanical problem. Um, it's just going to be here in Milwaukee against the mothership of Harley Davidson.
Sure.
And who else would be up for it? For the challenge other than myself? So,
right.
Today's Indian, with the introduction of the Power Plus motor, phenomenal engine, the Thunderstroke, 111s before the 116s came out. We did our own 116 kit. The factory had them, and then we had to take the flywheels out. Actually, that's called a crankshaft because there is no flywheel. One piece of it's one piece, so it's not a flywheel. It's a crankshaft. So we had to balance that, put Carrillo rods in it because we were doing 116 kits. The factory had 116 kits available, but people were breaking connecting rods. So I wasn't going to wait around. So I said to my team, let's figure out how to make this motor with some Carrillo rods. Well, that's great, except your rotating and your reciprocating weights differ from the standard rod. So we had to figure out how to balance the crankshaft, which we did. And we sold a lot of them. Cylinder head work, we did everything you could do in a cylinder head, and they just didn't get the air out. Okay, they got tons of air in, but the exhaust port, we just couldn't get it to where we felt that this thing was going to make horsepower. They're torque monsters. They're super reliable. Really no problems with the Thunderstroke motor whatsoever. We made a couple of tools that we now sell to be able to hold the primary chain and the gear on the pinion shaft to lock everything down. We tried everybody's cam. There's guys that are making cams out there. Just kept on going back to the Indian Stage 2 cam. So that engine's kind of it's a good solid platform, fun to ride. But now they came out with the Power Plus 108 in 2020. And I said, I got to drag race this thing, man. This thing is cool. I take it out and, this thing's got great brakes, great transmission, chassis handles amazing. I said, let's try and work on getting some power out of this thing. And you really couldn't tune them. So nobody was really tuning them. So I had a nitrous system that you didn't have to tune it because I blended the gas with the nitrous, so the tune would kind of stay the same. Well, then we started seeing some results, and we ended up pushing this motor till we found the weak spot, and that was the head gasket. So of course we take it apart and we figure out, what's going on, and things are moving around because there's a cylinder inside of a cylinder on a 108. That's when I thought of the idea to build our 116 big bore kit, and we partnered with Revolution Performance. They do the best Nicosel plating as far as I'm concerned, and we close deck the cylinder. We stiffen up that inner cylinder, and now we have a really tight and strong piece, and it's 400. And we made a piston to match the combustion chamber. And these things with cams in them, we're seeing close to 150 rear wheel horsepower for the street. Yeah, they're awesome, and they're super reliable. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at now. The Scout motor. I mean, you buy a Sportster years ago, and how do you figure out how to get it to go faster? Well, the Scout was fast out of the box itself, but we put high compression pistons in it. They're just super reliable platforms. Overhead cam, liquid cooled, great motor, great chassis. The looks are really good now. They went away from the valance fender, more modern, look. kind of looking like what Harley's got.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of similarity right now.
Yeah. And, it's nice to see companies like yours. You guys get on board with exhaust systems and air cleaners.
And an air cleaner now.
You guys make an air cleaner for the 2025 Scout that just by putting the air cleaner in, I think picks up 8 or 10 horsepower. It's amazing. And that bike is so much fun to drive. And I can't say enough about the Indian platform. I'm very proud to sell it, and we do a lot of performance work to them, but it's hard to improve something that's so good already.
But at the other shop at Two Boss, you're doing a lot of M8 stuff, right?
Ton of M8 work. And what's different in this industry now compared to 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ago, there's more players. There's more people cams. Years and years ago, it was S&S, Andrews, Redshift, Lineweber, Crane. That's five cam guys that I can just name right off the top of my head. Now there's 20. Okay. Yeah. Everybody's got a cam for the M8, and one's better than the other. Well, it's, and that's fine. Everybody, has an idea and they do it. But man, oh man, I've never, had so much fun on a bike when you build up an M8 motor. I mean, with the cylinder heads, a 4-valve cylinder head. We've tried for years, 300-400 CFM, that's a pretty damn good flowing head.
Right.
With the new center cooled heads with 4 mil over through an intake manifold, I'm hearing 500 CFM. Those are pro stock numbers, from, when we were running Sandcast pro stock heads,
right.
And so it's easy to put these things together. The crankcases are okay. They're not the best, but they're okay. The factory ones. And it's easy to get a lot of power on. I mean, there's no other platform, Evo, twin cam, only the M8, you can put a drop-in cam and pick up 25 foot-pounds of torque and 30 horsepower.
Right.
I mean, that's an easy sell. Everybody's doing it. So we're busy doing that. We do other stuff like, Trask has got the turbocharger system figured out, and it's nothing to get 200 plus horsepower on a street bike these days. Reliable and it's just a lot of fun to see that. But as Harley steps up their game, out of the box stuff, with the new VVT, variable valve timing.
Yes.
I mean, that's danger on the way that bike runs out of the box. So we'll see where that goes. But we're doing a lot of M8s. The cool part about the Evo and the twin cam is there's a lot of them out there. Okay.
Yes.
And if people aren't going to buy new, they're going to figure out how to get their other ones fixed and keep them going.
Right.
And the parts guys offer for the Evo and twin cam, that keeps us plenty busy with cam plates, oil pumps. If the crank is straight, we're doing a gear drive so the guy don't ever have to worry about chains again. So that work is all there. That repair work is all there for Two Boss Performance, as well as the performance side of it. So,
it's a great time to be interested in V-twin performance right now, because the numbers are huge. And back when we released the 124, it was kind of funny. Like, yeah, this is a fast Harley, but it's not fast compared to the sport bikes that are on the road. Now, with 150, 175 horsepower bikes with 140, 150 foot-pounds of torque, those stoplight races with sport bikes are really different.
Yeah.
Really different.
Yeah. And we're competitive.
Yeah.
And, your guys is, speaking of 124, back in 2003, you guys had a cylinder head, which called a B2 cylinder head.
Two heads. Yeah.
Okay. And I had that in a 2003 standard 124 with B2 cylinder heads with the piston, the head 640 cams. That thing made 160 horsepower, and I let everybody and their brother drive it. And we sold so many engines based off of that bike. And that's what we do now. We got an M8 sitting around with some power, and just let a guy drive the thing once, and it's like, holy cow, it really does make a difference on how much power these things made compared to the twin cam, compared to the Evo. So yeah, these things are a lot of fun.
The Scout customer, I'm changing topic.
Yeah.
What's the Scout customer like these days? Are they young? Are they first time riders? Are they
Howard, that's when the 25 Scout was released, it had a lot of interest because it's a really great looking bike. They spent a lot of time cleaning up the lines, compared to what the Sportsters got. If you take a look at a Sportster and the new 25 Scout, they cleaned it up a lot. So that was very attractive to all age groups. I can't really nail down, do we sell more to young people, older people that have bikes, that have been riding, that maybe want to step back because, of the weight. It's diversified. We are pushing a lot to women because these bikes are so easy to ride. It's got the lowest seat height on the market. I think it's 26 inch. It's very simple, very easy, to get off the kickstand, and it's a diversified age group on who we're selling that product to.
Because I'm always interested in what's going to bring new riders in as we age out.
Well, it's I'm thinking of that every day, and I really have not yet figured out who that next rider is. Do we spend some of our money on increasing our trike division? We have a trike division here at Indian and Two Boss where we partnered with Motor Trike and California Sidecar. It's independent suspension that you can bolt to the back of a Harley or back of an Indian.
Oh.
And those bikes handle way better than a Tri-Glide. It's not heavy in the front. You glide the thing around corners with the independent suspension. You don't feel very many bumps in the road. I'm not knocking a Tri-Glide one bit, but these bikes that we're building, guys are later, late 50s, 60s, some 70s. That still have the desire to ride. The wife is on the back. She's got the desire to be a passenger still, but he doesn't trust his knees or his hips, and he'd rather feel a little bit more comfortable. We do a lot of that business. So, we go after both who the next rider is and cater to those people, that, want to keep riding but need three wheels. Man, oh man, I really wish I had the answer on who the next rider is. I want to be positive about it. Motorcycling to me, as soon as the weather just gets nicer out, I'll be on a bike every single day. You can start seeing bikes all over the place now. Coming out of winter where you don't see any bikes. We're in the Midwest, so I haven't seen a motorcycle on the road up until the last couple of weeks, for the last 5 months. So, and with our sales, I can tell that there's still a lot of interest in motorcycling. But it's definitely slowed down.
Right. Well, Yeah, and I always wonder about what's the next or what's going to bring in the next rider. Um, so one other question that I want to ask you, and this is again, I'm jumping around on all this stuff. You're doing performance work on the Indians. Do you have to pull the engine to change cams?
So on the Thunderstroke, the push rod motor, you do not. Okay.
Okay.
You get in there, there's a little tool, hold the lifters up, pull the cams in and out. If you want to go big bore, then the engine's got to drop down, because on both platforms, on the Thunderstroke platform or the Power Plus, the engine's a structural member of the frame.
Right.
Okay. So yes, the engine has to come down on the Power Plus to service the cams for sure.
Okay.
And it's not hard. It seems like it's a lot, but these guys get it done, and they're probably doing cams in about 4 to 5 hours.
Wow.
Which is hauling.
What do you think? What do you think about the bagger racing?
Love it. I love it. I love seeing a little 112 run. I think Troy or the other guy had the fastest trap speed at Daytona. So we're making more power because, speed is horsepower.
Right.
But, both of these brands going at it. I love it. I cannot wait for the end of the month when we go to Road America here at the dealership. We're going to have a huge ride. We're going to have a breakfast in the morning. You sign up online on indianmotorcycle.com and you sign up to come on this ride. We're going to take about an hour up there. We get private parking. We get to take a ride around the track, and then we get to spend a day, watching these guys in the pits and then racing. I think the level of competition between these two brands is probably the hottest thing going right now. For me, being a racer, so we dominated in flat track, okay, with the FTR 750. That's gone away now. It's neck and neck. It could be anybody's race when the king of the baggers. And, now what would be next? Drag racing. So I don't know where that's going to go, but it would be cool to see, Indian out there in the NHRA against the Vance and Hines boys and the Buell. So I think it's great. It's competition. I don't know.
I have a soft spot for the Buells.
What's that?
I have a soft spot for the Buells.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That was fun times with those bikes.
So what do you think, Rob? What do you think about the industry at this point?
So I think
you've seen it from shovel to Evo to twin cam to M8 to Indian, all growing out from where they were.
I seen so the industry, from a performance standpoint, which was really strong, 10, 15 years ago, where, Harley is definitely stepping up their game, on what they're putting out for a stock bike, but everybody seems to find something to make it better, which is good. Man, I don't know. It's all I know is the motorcycle industry and, doing performance stuff. But a lot of guys need phone holders now and XKG glow lights and, big wheels and all that kind of stuff. That ain't my cup of tea, but, if it keeps them on two wheels, keeps them using up tires and running down the road and needing repair, then I'm all for it. Do whatever makes you happy. Express yourself through your motorcycle. I think that's what everybody kind of shoots for. And, I hope the industry as a whole, we all get together and we talk at high level conversations on how to keep this going. because I think now is probably the most important time in the industry of motorcycling, that a lot of people with a lot of weight should get together and brainstorm and work together to keep motorcycling going, where it trickles down to guys, with shops like mine, that employ 14 people and keep these bikes on the road. It's I definitely would love to be part of that conversation, but I think motorcycling as a whole, especially since the pandemic, I hate that word, but coming into a new administration, we've had 5 years of little uncertainty, but the industry as a whole, I hope stays strong, and we'll see what comes of it.
So you're going to be at Road America. Are you going to be out in Sturgis?
Man, I've been to Sturgis so many times. My buddy Jay Allen and I had a lot of fun out there at the Broken Spoke, and I'd sure love going back there all the time. It's just, I gotta pick my times, and
Sure.
with my family and everything like that. It's definitely going to be in Road America. I love that. I love being out in Sturgis. I like going out to Sturgis and just walking around and seeing what's new, because that kind of gives you a little bit of, feel for what's going on in the industry through, the attendance that is there. Sturgis Indian sells 80 to 100 bikes, in that week. And I know Harley does very well with that too. And that's crazy to me, but I like seeing that process and how that happens.
So if people want to see you, they really have to come to the shop.
Come to the shop in Muskego. Give me a call. I'm always here. I'm on site every day. So yeah, love to talk motorcycles and see how we can either improve your bike, or just, we do a ton of dyno tuning too. So
yeah, you do.
Yeah, we do a ton of dyno. Eric Stack is he's been at it for 9 years, and these things aren't getting easier to tune; they're getting more difficult. When I was tuning, you had a toolbox with all kinds of tools. Now you walk in our dyno lab, there's no tools, just cables.
Cables and computer.
Yeah.
I was cleaning out some stuff in my garage, because when I moved out of California to Vegas, I just boxed up a bunch of stuff, and I was looking for something, so I was cleaning at the same time, and I found an S&S jet kit for CV carburetors.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You start thinking about the progress, right? How we were trying to make CV carbs better because people didn't want to spend the money to go to an E-carb. And now you think about, size of fuel injectors and timing of fuel pulse and how that matches with cam overlap. And it's all done with a computer now.
It's all done in a computer. Speaking of old school, as soon as we're done with this, I'm going to go try to tune an XR1000 with 2 carburetors on it.
Oh, wow.
So we still work on that old stuff because it's out there. And you speaking of the CV carburetor, you just know them things and you know how to work on them. So
yeah, that's awesome. Rob, I can't thank you enough for making time for us today. I really, really appreciate it. And it's good to see you.
Howard, it's really great to see you. I appreciate you bringing me on, and let's get this industry back to where we need it to be, and continue the drive.
And of course, if anybody's in the Milwaukee or surrounding tri-state area, they can come visit you, have a cup of coffee, and get their bike made faster, right?
Absolutely, anytime.
All right, Rob, thanks.
All of our bikes that we build. So I just want to make sure I say that. I mean, it's, cam plate oil pumps. We do a ton of them things. So come on in and see us.
Cool. Thank you, Rob. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.